What's up, Sip Nation family? It's MC Shakie, MC Shakie Live. And y'all already know over here at Sip Nation, we don't do surface level conversations. We don't just grab a headline, scream about it for 10 minutes, and then move on like real people's lives are not attached to. This Karmelo Anthony case is heavy. It is emotional, it is racial, it is political. More than anything, it's human. Now I want us to slow down for a second because everybody's picking his side like it's a football game. One side says Karmelo Anthony is a monster. The other side says he's a martyr. And somewhere in the middle, the truth is sitting there saying, can somebody please talk about how the hell we got here? Because the truth is, Austin Metcalf is gone. Karmelo Anthony is going to prison. 2 families are destroyed. And if all we do is argue online, then the next tragedy is already loading. Let me start here. Accountability and compassion can exist at the same time. You can believe Karmelo made a devastating decision and still ask what kind of world produced that moment. You can grieve for Austin and still question whether our systems are built to prevent these tragedies or just punish people after they happen. You can support a grieving father and still say something is broken when our young people are handling conflict with fear, weapons, adrenaline, and no tools for de-escalation. That is not to excuse anything. That is trying to understand. We're not protecting the next Austin Metcalf, and we're not saving the next Karmelo Anthony. All we're doing is waiting for the next headline. And I'm tired of our children becoming hashtags. The courtroom had a specific job. The jury had to take a look at the evidence and decide guilt under the law. They did that. Karmelo Anthony was convicted and sentenced. That is the legal outcome. But the community has a different job. Our job is to ask, why are so many young people walking around with no emotional safety net? Why are they so quick to feel threatened? Why do they not have enough trusted adults around them? Why do schools have cameras, rules, and punishment, but not enough real intervention? Because let's be honest, we've built a society that watches children more than it mentors them. We monitor them, we record them, we suspend them, we arrest them, we label them. But do we actually know them? Do we know what they're carrying? Do we know what they're afraid of? Do we know what they see every day online? Do we know what pressure they feel not to look weak, to not back down, to not be embarrassed in front of their peers? And I'm not just talking about Karmelo, I'm talking about the whole generation. These kids are growing up with school violence drills, social media humiliation, racial tension, economic pressure, broken households, overworked parents, underfunded schools, and a world that tells them be tough and never teaches them how to be calm. Then when somebody explodes, everybody acts shocked. Child, how shocked can we really be when the warning signs have been flashing for years? And let me say this from my own lived experience. Prison is not a youth development program. Prison does not raise you. Prison does not heal you. Prison does not sit you down and say, baby, let's talk about your fear, your anger, your trauma, your impulse control, your conflict resolution. Prison contains. That's what it does. Sometimes containment is necessary. I'm not naive. I have lived too much life to sit here and pretend every situation can be solved with a group hug and a pamphlet. But if prison is the first real intervention a young person receives, then the system already failed. By the time a child is standing in front of a judge for murder, we are not at step 1. We are at the emergency room after years of ignoring symptoms. And that is a conversation people do not want to have because punishment is easier than prevention. Punishment gives people a sentence. Prevention requires a budget. Prevention requires patience. Prevention requires adults to be present before the cameras turn on. Now, we also have to talk about the racial part because pretending race is not a part of the public conversation would be dishonest. Karmelo is black, Austin was white. The case became racially charged almost immediately, and when people saw that no black jurors were seated, that raised serious concerns for a lot of folks. Now, I'm not here to say what was in every juror's heart. I'm not here to say every person involved was racist. That is not my lane, and I'm not going to make claims I can't prove. But I am going to say this. Representation matters because trust matters. When communities already feel like the justice system sees black youth as dangerous before it sees them as human, a jury with no black jurors in a case like this is going to hit a nerve. That does not automatically mean the verdict is invalid, but it does mean the public distrust did not come from nowhere. And if the justice system wants people to trust the outcome, it has to care about the appearance of fairness as much as the technical process of fairness. Because people do not just react to verdict, they react to history. But while we talk about Karmelo, I refuse to erase Mr. Austin Metcalf. That boy had a future too. His father lost a son. His mother lost a child. His brother lost a twin. That family lost a voice at the dinner table, a birthday to celebrate, a graduation to attend. And sometimes in these public cases, the victim's family gets turned into a symbol instead of being treated like people. So let me be clear. Feeling compassion for Karmelo's lost future does not mean we minimize Austin's lost life. Austin did not deserve to die. His family does not deserve to be harassed. His pain does not become less important because we're asking system-level questions. This is where we have to be mature. We have to hold the grief and the critique at the same time. In this situation, what failed? First, we failed at conflict resolution. A disagreement among teenagers should not become a funeral and a prison sentence. Somewhere along the way, people are not being taught how to walk away without feeling weak. Second, we failed at mentorship. Too many young people have adults around them, but not adults connected to them. There is a difference. A young person can be surrounded by people and still feel emotionally alone. Third, we failed at prevention. Schools love to say safety is a priority, but safety cannot only mean police presence and metal detectors. Safety also means counselors. Safety also means mediation. Safety means coaches who are trained to recognize tension. Safety means peer leaders. Safety means teaching kids how to regulate their emotions before anger makes a decision they can never undo. Fourth, we failed at community accountability. We cannot only show up when a child is dead or when a child is sentenced. We have to show up when they're 12, 13, 14, 15, acting out, withdrawing, fighting, carrying pain, talking reckless, moving like nobody can reach them. That's when intervention matters. Not after the mugshot, not after the obituary, before. So what do? We need peer-led conflict mediation in schools. We need credible messengers, people who have lived through violence, prison, trauma, and bad decisions, going back into schools and telling these kids the truth in language they actually believe. We need restorative justice before tragedy, not just punishment after tragedy. We need mental health support that does not feel like punishment. We need schools to stop replacing human relationships with surveillance. Because a camera can show you what happened, but a mentor can stop it from happening. That's the difference. And yes, there still has to be accountability. Accountability is not the enemy of reform. Real accountability asks, how do we repair harm, protect the community, and stop this from repeating? But what we have now is a system that waits until everybody is bleeding and says, see, we handled it. No, baby, you handled the aftermath. You did not handle the cause. So was Karmelo Anthony guilty or failed? Maybe the uncomfortable answer is both. The court said he was guilty, but society has to admit he was also failed. Austin Metcalf was failed too, because a system that truly protects children would have done everything possible to make sure a teenage conflict never turned fatal. So this is not about choosing one boy over the other. This is about choosing the next generation before it's too late. Because if all we get from this case is another argument, another racial divide, another viral clip, another comment section full of hate, then we learn nothing. And if we learn nothing, we are participating in a cycle. Sip Nation, my family, we have to stop waiting for tragedy to teach us lessons we already know. Pour into these kids, mentor somebody, support youth programs, show up at the school board meeting, ask what conflict resolution programs exist in your community. Ask who's reaching the kids that everybody else has already written off, because the next child does not need our opinion after the verdict. They need our intervention before the tragedy. I'm Rodney MC Shakie Rusev. No fans, no foolishness, no mess. This is some real stuff. Me talking to my family. And family tells the truth, even when it hurts.